With the 10th pick.
With the 37th pick.
With the 63rd pick. The Kansas City Chiefs select.
The Kansas City Chiefs select.
The Kansas City Chiefs select.
Patrick Mahomes, the second. Quarterback.
Chris Jones, defensive tackle, Mississippi State.
Trent McDuffie, defensive back, Washington.
Travis Kelce, tight end, Cincinnati.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the excitement of the 2024 draft. The back-to-back Super Bowl champions. We are here in the practice facility, the University of Kansas Health System practice facility. Mitch Holthus with you, voice of the Chiefs, along with senior team reporter Matt McMullen. Yes, the Chiefs are on the clock. Looks like they've made a trade, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But this draft so far, what led to this moment is the dynamics of the first round of the 2024 draft. And first of all, Matt, I want to get your reaction. The fact that the top 14 picks of this draft were offensive players. That's crazy enough. 6 of the top 12 were quarterbacks. But what did that do? That kind of set up where we're at right now because the way the board has fallen to the Chiefs and them making a move up.
Well, we spend months trying to figure out how the board is going to fall. We do mock drafts every single day. You're trying to figure out who are the players that are going to be there when the Chiefs will pick at 32 overall, and in this case, 28 overall. And what this shows is that we never know who's actually going to be there because the board always falls in a unique way. That's certainly happened this year, just with a few things that happened. I can't believe that no defensive player was taken until 15 overall. That's an NFL record, I believe. That's absolutely nuts. And all the quarterbacks going early. It's been a crazy board yet again, and here we are.
Once we get the clear, we're trying to find out who this pick is going to be with this trade. And when we have that, we will let you know. But there is some excitement right now. They're down below us, okay?
They're right below us.
We're right below us. We're directly above the Chiefs draft room. But, again, the excitement of this night, when you're 32nd, I want to ask you this. Another impact, I think, so far of this draft, and I don't want it to be misunderstood. This is my 31st draft, okay, in the National Football League. The first 22 or 3, you were chasing others. Now the league is chasing us. Let's just be very honest, because I think that is a part of what has happened so far tonight of especially the AFC teams, most specifically the AFC West teams, to try to unseat us from the throne.
That's a good feeling, right? I like being the hunted, not the one that's hunting at the moment. And you're right. You look at some of these picks so far. So the Broncos taking Bo Nix. They're trying to find their quarterback. They're trying to find their quarterback who's going to compete with Patrick Mahomes for years to come, and they believe it's Bo Nix. It makes sense for Sean Payton trying to find his guy, right? He's a quarterback guru. Of course, had Drew Brees for so many years in New Orleans. He thinks Bo Nix is his guy. That's a direct move to try to compete with the Chiefs. And for the Raiders getting Brock Bowers is a stud. Really, really good player trying to add to their offensive arsenal. But you're right, this is going to be this way every single year where, particularly in the AFC West, but also in the AFC, teams are drafting to compete with us, and that's a good feeling.
The other interesting thing is John Alt, who was my very long ago, my rookie year, was the left tackle for the Chiefs. So good at the University of Iowa. Now his son, Joe Alt, will be a Charger. He was a great career at Notre Dame. People think maybe the highest floor, using draft jargon here, but he'll be immediate day one starter for the Chargers. But it's got to be weird for John, being a lifelong Chief, to see his son play for the Chargers.
And these things make me feel old. I don't like it seeing players I remember in the NFL, their sons being drafted into the NFL. That was an interesting one because the Chargers had a difficult decision there where do they take Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze, two of the top receivers in the draft, or do they build through the offensive line? And we saw their answer in taking Joe Alt. I think it's a wise decision for them. Very much a Jim Harbaugh decision.
We have the go signal. I just want to make sure. Just a second. Then we're going to get it here and say we've got the pick.
We know the pick, but we can't say it yet. We'll get in trouble. You know, we know it's out there on Twitter and everything, but we'll get in trouble.
I can't say that and the fact that it was the Bills that were the draft partner is really strange.
It's very shocking.
So considering the recent history with Buffalo and the battles with them in the playoffs and the regular season, okay, we're going to go ahead and give the pick. If you're part of the Chiefs Kingdom, you need to be excited because the fastest ever timed 40-yard dash in NFL Combine history is now a Chief. Xavier Worthy of the University of Texas ran a 4.21 at the Combine. The world stopped. And everybody thought, man, they just blew away the record. He is now a Kansas City Chief. There's a lot of dynamics to this pick, but let's jump in to your newest wide receiver. And I'm going to throw in this because this is a big part of this pick, in my opinion. Returner. He can be a dynamic returner. But Xavier Worthy is now a Kansas City Chief.
Sometimes the simplest answer is the correct answer. And I did so much draft research over the last 2 months. I'm not kidding. The very first guy I watched was Xavier Worthy. And I'm like, this is the pick. This is the guy. Everything I know about head coach Andy Reid, this is his kind of prototypical receiver. I mean, he has lightning quick speed. You mentioned the 4.21 40, fastest ever at the Combine. And Coach Reid can use this guy in a variety of ways. Yeah, he can stretch the field vertically. We know he can do that. But think about all the motions, all the orbit motions, all the sweeps that this guy can do. He can certainly fit the bill. He was a 3-year starter at Texas, started 39 games there during his career. He never missed a game. Played through a broken hand in 2022, so he's tough. He recorded at least 60 catches, 750 yards, and 5 touchdowns in every season there. Then last year, he had 75 catches for 1,014 yards and 5 touchdowns and led the FBS in punt return yards. This is a fun player who Coach Reid's going to be very creative with.
371 punt return yards and a 74-yard punt return touchdown. One of the things that we discuss, or not discuss, I should say, about the Chiefs is to try to get explosive in the return game once again. We saw, obviously, Tyreek Hill do it early in his career. Go back to the 2016 season, the calling his own shot, of the crowd calling the shot in that victory over the Raiders. We saw McCole Hardman do it. He started the whole march to Super Bowl 54 with a 58-yard kickoff return. He had a 104-yard kickoff return against the Chargers. All of a sudden now with Worthy, you get that possibility again. Now, the new kickoff rules, we don't know. But you're going to have punt returns that are like the old rules. And this guy becomes an automatic punt return threat. And if you put pressure on a team on offense, which you know with Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey and others that will happen, if you put pressure on teams defensively, we saw that come to life last year for this defense. And if you put pressure on teams on special teams, either Buckner making kicks or covering kicks, but the one thing in these last 2 years that has been missing, even in winning back-to-back Super Bowl championships, has been the dynamic return game, especially the punt return game. And now you have added that tonight with Xavier Worthy.
And the vertical passing game last year. The Chiefs struggled at times with the vertical passing game. Well, Worthy can help in both of those areas, with the return game and the vertical passing game, because of his skill set. And it's really twofold in my mind. So, of course, he has the explosive speed. And, again, this is like sprinter's speed. I mean, incredible quickness from Xavier Worthy. So he can be a vertical
It's Olympic
threat.
speed.
Yeah, it is.
It's like we talked about with Jamal Charles. And, I mean, that's what he is.
So he can run the go
Olympic
route.
Sprinter.
He can run the go route. He can beat the top of the defense, but also he has the start and stop athleticism where he can juke guys out of their shoes. It's not just the straight line speed. And a lot of times in college, you see a player who can run the go route, and that's about it. That's not Xavier Worthy. He doesn't have to be wide open down the field. He can make plays after the catch as well. So just very excited about how Coach Reid's going to use this player. And it's not just the vertical stuff. It's also the stuff at the line of scrimmage. Again, the sweeps, the screens, things like that, the orbit motions. Coach Reid's going to get very creative with Xavier Worthy. I bet he's pretty excited right now.
3 years at Texas, which to me is a strong point. In the days of the transfer, we're in the days of the transfer portal and NIL, it's really kind of hard to track, not just track guys, but the fact that how do they kind of morph into a system and take leadership. He was captain of the Texas team 4 times. The locker room loved him. And the fact that he was at Texas 3 years, Fresno, California kid who went to Austin to play, only one of a couple Big 12 receivers that was over 1,000 yards last year. But you can see where he would fit the Andy Reid culture right away. And you get more of an indication when a kid stays at a school over a 3-year period to see how he's been consistent in production. You laid that out. But also how he kind of grew within that system. It's getting less and less in college football. And when you find him, I'm just excited to be around this guy and find out more about him because he looks like a really good fit.
He was also competing for targets at Texas and was still getting a large volume. I mean, Adonai Mitchell was at Texas. Jatavion Sanders is at Texas. Really good players that need the ball. And Xavier Worthy consistently got targets in that offense. Says a lot.
And Bijan Robinson was getting the touches the year before that. So, and he still had that year 780 yards receiving.
How about some notes from some draft analysts? Want to hear some of these? So Pro Football Focus, they wrote that Worthy must be identified pre-snap in all situations due to how easily he can take a pass to the house if not accounted for. I love hearing that. Here's from Dane Brugler from The Athletic, one of my favorites. He says, his dynamic speed and playmaking instincts make him a threat as both a wide receiver and a return man, just what we were saying. He compared him to Deshaun Jackson, who Coach Reid knows well.
Okay, the other part of this to think about is think how many times the Chiefs use motions, some false motion. We saw Super Bowls won with Tom and Jerry play. We saw Super Bowls won with Corn Dog. But how many times does a jet sweep or a fake jet sweep set up the sequence of a play for Patrick Mahomes? And now when a 4-2-1 guy is doing all of that work, it helps everybody else, whether that's Hollywood Brown or Rashee Rice or Travis Kelce. It sure helps Patrick Mahomes because it's interesting that comment because as a defender now, you've got to respect that speed. Anytime you run that jet sweep action, you have to be careful because it could go to the house anytime.
The Hollywood Brown component of this is interesting because he has a very similar skill set to that of Xavier Worthy. This is very stressful for defenses now. If you have both Hollywood and Xavier Worthy on offense on the field at the same time, throw Kadarius Toney in there as well. Those are all players that can do kind of the same thing with speed, electric speed, and you have to respect it. And it's going to be very interesting how defenses are going to defend the Chiefs this year when both of those guys are on the field at the same time.
So again, don't think we're crazy. The Chiefs traded with the Bills. The Bills traded down.
Can't believe it.
Chiefs traded up to get Xavier Worthy. Now, Coach Reid is getting ready at the podium to give his comments on this trade and this pick.
All right. As you saw, we picked Xavier Worthy from Texas, wide receiver. We're glad to have him on board. We think he's a heck of a football player, number one. He does a few different things. He's a good wide receiver and also a good special teams returner. And he'll end up doing both to start things off with. So, and he'll just work into that rotation when we get him, the wide receiver rotation, and with Hollywood and Rasheed and Kels and, the other fellows. So it should give Pat another weapon there in which to use. Okay? All right, with that, time's yours.
Just with the trade up, can you kind of walk us through how that happened?
Yeah, so we had marked this kid that Xavier, that we wanted him, and we just felt that you start getting down there, somebody might jump us, and pick him up. So, and Brett does a great job with this. He's got a good feel for the people that have interest in that position and that player, and then where he needs to go to attack it.
Andy, obviously knew it was combine time, but besides his speed, what else about his traits really stood out to you?
Yeah, good route runner, and he's not a big kid, or at least weight wise. He's got good height. He's just not very heavy. But I think you'll see this toughness that he's got, which jumped out at me. And and then when you talk to their coach, Coach Sarkisian and I are close, and he kept talking about how smart he was. He got great football instincts, and he's a tremendous worker. So, and in this offense, you've got to be able to do that, and have those characteristics. So.
Coach, when you see the 40 time, try not to think of Tyreek, not to say that he's
Sure.
compared to one of the best players, but what does having that type of speed back in your offense do for what 2024 can bring?
Yeah, so, I mean, listen, they're different, and he'll put his own mark on things, once he gets a feel for it. That wasn't necessarily the comparison as much as it was him being a good football player that was a good wide receiver. I mean, now you add in the return ability. I've had some guys like that, Tyreek and Deshaun Jackson, probably body typed a little bit more like Deshaun. Yeah.
Coach, how critical was it that you added to the wide receiver core this offseason?
Yeah, listen, I like the wide receivers we've got, but to add somebody of this quality, I think, is important, or a good move, to strengthen it. But I don't want to slight the guys that we have either. But he's a nice addition. I mean, he was. You guys know. I mean, you've read everything, so you know that people thought he was a quality player. For us to be able to get him down there with with the trade, I thought that was well worth it. Yeah.
Is the weight he's at not a concern for you guys? Can he put on weight? I know some people can't keep weight on. Probably not much in this room, but
Yeah.
someone could get a little bit bigger.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong guy about weight, but I think he's fine where he's at. I don't think that's a problem. He's playing at a high level, and he's been doing this since he was a freshman. So, I'm not too worried about the weight.
You mentioned talking to Steve Sarkisian about him, but just what else did you learn about him throughout your conversations with him at the organization?
Yeah, so we've also talked to the kid. So yeah, and I like his makeup. I like the fact that he can go all day and that he loves football. You guys kind of know how we're wired here. Brett makes that a real characteristic that he likes. Likewise, as coaches, we love that. And so You find that out about a guy, and you can tell he's passionate about the sport. I think you'll see this when you meet him, and he loves to play, and he's good at it.
Coach, I know it's ultimately your decision and Brett's decision as well. When you think about adding another weapon, offensively, do you run it by Patrick?
Yeah, no, we told Patrick, yeah. Patrick's curious. He loves this. He loves this stuff. It doesn't matter if it's offense or defense. I mean, he loves the draft. So, he's texting away at us, and we get back to him, and he's great with it.
Yeah, Coach, that was kind of my question. Was Patrick at least posted on social media that he seems to be approving of the pick? What was his kind of feedback in the process and everything?
Yeah, we have these iPads, and so you've got everything on it. I mean, you can get video of the kids that are in the draft playing. So he's looked at everybody. I mean, he goes when he gets bored, he looks at all the guys. So he's seen them play, and so if I didn't see that he posted that out there, but I know he's probably pretty excited about it.
We'll go across the room. He managed to play catch with him down in Texas.
Yeah, I don't think they have connected yet. Yeah.
Aaron, go ahead.
Swapping with Buffalo, y'all have had some contentious matchups. You're in the conference, matching up against them, the Mahomes trade. Is it harder to move up now that you're back-to-back champs teams? Harder to work with?
Yeah, well, it was last year. I mean, we were trying to move around a little bit last year, and it was just tough to, people didn't really want to do a whole lot. And in Buffalo, they have a plan. They're pretty smart guys up there, and so they've got their own plan, and they were willing to do something, which I appreciate. Yeah.
We'll go last street with Todd, PJ, and then Nate. Go ahead, Todd.
Coach, just not about the draft tonight, but extend your contract to stay here longer. Just your thoughts on getting that done and answering questions about what's happening.
Yeah, sure. No, listen, I mean, I'm grateful to the Hunts and Clark for wanting myself here, Mark and Brett. So, I would start with that. My wife and I love it here. Family likes it here. So, it's important that that's done, and now we're moving on and getting everything rolling here. So this is a good start right now.
PJ?
With your wide receiver core, you kind of done a really good job of having that elite speed when you have Tyreek and also pairing him with Nicole and DeMarcus. Once Tyreek left, kind of that top tier speed kind of left. Is this kind of you trying to bring it back with really now Hollywood Brown?
Yeah. So both those two can run well, and I think both love to play the game and are good football players. So I think that'll help us. It doesn't hurt to have down the field speed. I mean, it's not. We've functioned without the great speed down the field and done well. So, but if you have an opportunity to get somebody that you think is a good player, just not a speed guy, but a good football player, I think you probably need to take advantage of that. So.
Close out.
You mentioned Worthy's toughness. Just how much is that sort of a requirement for a guy who's that fast, and how much do you think that can help you all, not only in the short yardage game, but obviously trying to win contested passes downfield?
Yeah. It's important that you have that in the National Football League, and then with his size, you that you can go a couple different ways with that, right? So he plays a tough game, but I think he's smart with it too. You don't want him running into a wall and hurting himself. So, but at the same time, there's a time when you got to be able to go get it, and he's done that at that level. He's got to do it at this level now. This will be another challenge for him, but he's shown that he could do it at Texas. There.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, good. Yep, thanks, guys.
Coach Reid doesn't sleep much any night. He may be up all night tonight dreaming up ways to use Xavier Worthy. The fastest ever player, again to recap, Xavier Worthy of the University of Texas, the fastest ever combine, 40-time ever, 4.21, is now a Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs traded up with, the Buffalo Bills to get up to the 28th spot to take Worthy, and just excited because of all the stuff we laid out. But man, Coach is going, all right, I got some speed again, and we'll figure out how to use this guy. And Dave Tobe is as excited right now as Andy Reid. He has an electric returner now. He can cut loose on punt returns.
He's in so many ways like the ultimate chess piece. You can just use him in a variety of ways because of his athleticism and his speed. Here are a few more notes from Pro Football Focus that I think are interesting. We talk a lot about the 4.21 40. That's straight line speed. We get it. That's just the combine. But here's what they said. He has functional NFL speed, not just straight line speed. He can vary his speeds to still be an efficient route runner while operating at high speeds. They said he's an elite vertical threat. He has elite explosiveness and acceleration when changing direction. That's important, not just a straight line. And he has good deep tracking ability. It's not just Dave Tobe and Coach Reid. It's Patrick Mahomes looking at this and saying, I'm going to work on throwing those 70-yard touchdown passes again because Xavier Worthy can catch those.
Creed Humphrey, Alston Wooders with it. Creed Humphrey posted.
Yeah.
Me trying to keep up with the wide receivers on wide receiver screens. Find it if you can. You just got to find it.
It's hilarious.
Here's another, you want a fun fact?
Yeah, let's hear it. Yeah.
I just put it out on Twitter. Worthy will be 21 years old on Saturday. On April the 27th, he will be at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium on his 21st birthday. He was born in 2003. We're in 24, right? That'd be 21, so he's still young. Think how young he is.
Yeah.
He played 3 years at Texas, so he came out of high school young. The fact that it'll be his birthday, the top two picks, again, we're slated to pick 64th tomorrow, but it's going to be fun that Worthy will start his National Football League career with the back-to-back Super Bowl champions on his birthday.
I mean, what an amazing experience. You can't draw that up any better. This is a dream come true, I'm sure, for Xavier Worthy. Not only are you going to the NFL, you're going to the reigning back-to-back Super Bowl champion with Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the NFL, as your new quarterback. And it's your birthday when you'll hopefully be here for Draft Fest. Not bad.
Again, the trade with the Bills. The Bills traded out of the 28th pick with the Chiefs. The Bills get pick 32, which they've traded out of that pick to accumulate more picks. Keep in mind, the Bills are in a different strategy mind right now. You look at what they've done in the offseason, you can see that they are redirecting their focus. They also get the 95th pick from the Chiefs, so in essence, the third-round pick, and then 221. The Chiefs, though, will have 133 and 248 and kept the 64th pick. So we get ready for tomorrow now as round one is over. But the Chiefs have Xavier Worthy, the speed demon. Small, he's not the biggest guy. He's not DK Metcalf. But, goodness, the fact that you get a punt returner, you get a route runner, a guy that was highly productive for 3 years at the University of Texas, and looks like a good locker room guy. It's exciting to have him. But now we get ready for tomorrow as well, and that should be fun.
Well, first, when you're driving home tonight, are you going to be thinking about your first touchdown call for Xavier Worthy?
I am.
You have a lot of options here.
Oh, yeah. Cannot wait. He and Hollywood Brown?
Uh-huh.
Let's go.
Absolutely. But the first round just ended. Looks like Xavier Legette was the final pick of the first round. That's a player we thought was rising. I think a lot of people out there thought he'd be a second-round pick, but he is the final pick of the first round, goes to Carolina. A lot of good players still on the board. Mm-hmm. And if you're thinking about the areas the Chiefs may want to address, maybe offensive tackle or corner, still a lot of offensive tackles and corners still on the board. We'll see what the Chiefs do tomorrow, but picking at 64 overall, they could always move up if they want to, if there's a player that they like, but I think a good player will also be there at 64 based on how the board fell. Again, you never know how these things are going to work out, and I really think it fell in the Chiefs' favor tonight.
Would you be stunned if somehow Brett Veach figured out a way to trade back into the third round?
Wouldn't be stunned at all. That's how it goes. It's whenever we think we're done for the night that all of a sudden Brett's like, no, we're going to take some more players. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But what we know about Brett is that if he likes a player, he finds a way to get him.
And he did it tonight. He moved with the Buffalo Bills, who were willing to trade. That, to me, might be the most stunning facet of this entire scenario, is the fact that it was the Bills remember, if you watched Defending the Kingdom that we posted yesterday, I said it's going to have to be an NFC team that's very secure, a GM in their spot that wants to trade with the Chiefs. It was the Bills, who might be the team that's full of the most angst about the Chiefs' kingdom of the recent years. But still, it tells you where they're at strategy-wise and that they're brave to do it. They've got Josh Allen. They're going to try to figure it out and do it a different way. But for the Chiefs, and you mentioned it, if Veach wants it, he goes and gets it. And if he wants to get back into the third round tomorrow, he will. But that second-round pick is still right there, and it'll be exciting to see. I just thought tonight, if you're picking 32nd as a defending back-to-back Super Bowl champion, to have the top 14 picks be on offense, 6 of those 12 are quarterbacks of the first 14. And the fact you don't need a quarterback, we're sitting there making our own board tonight going, this is so cool, because the last thing we put up there were quarterbacks. Like,
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. And then the board tonight, to me, with a few exceptions, couldn't have fallen any better for a team picking 32nd that had the way to get to 28.
And we thought it might work out well because on our podcast we did yesterday, we actually specifically talked about Xavier Worthy in the context of this draft is so deep that typically a player like Worthy with his skill set would surely go in the top 15. To get a player like him at 28 overall is ridiculous. To be the back-to-back defending Super Bowl champion, to have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, Coach Reid calling the plays, and to get a player like Xavier Worthy at 28 overall with his speed and explosiveness, that doesn't happen in the NFL. This reminds me much of when we got Trent McDuffie at 21 overall, a player I didn't think we'd have a chance at getting back in 2022. I think we just did it again, getting Xavier Worthy. This is a big deal for the Chiefs. Really excited to get out there at OTAs here in a few weeks and see what he can do.
I'm just fired up to have an explosive punt returner.
Yeah.
I just think that's one more way you put pressure on an opponent. And you see nervous punters make mistakes when they know that the guy out there can come back to the house every time. Just a great pickup in that regard. About corners, if you look, Ennis Rakestraw is still there.
Yep.
The guy from Mizzou, we both like him. Will he last to 64? Don't know. But we also know Veach, if he wants him, we'll move up to him. If you look at other corners, Cooper DeJean of the University of Iowa, TJ Tampa of Iowa State to stay in that state, and then Max Melton from Rutgers, Chris Abrams-Drain of Mizzou. One of the more underrated players, I think, last year on that really good Mizzou team, the Cotton Bowl champions, is going to be there. So when we look at our corner sheet and look at our corner board, hey, there's going to be a really good chance, I think, even if you stay at 64.
And Kool-Aid McKinstry as well is a player I like a lot. I believe he's still on the board. So Kool-Aid McKinstry, if the Chiefs wanted to move up, can make a lot of sense. A lot of good players still out there. Also an offensive tackle from BYU, Kingsley Suamataia. I was practicing that earlier. I had to use it at least once, but he's still on the board. So lots of good players out there for the Chiefs. They don't pick till the end of the second round tomorrow, but like we talked about a few minutes ago, if Brett likes a player, who knows what he'll do, and there's still a lot of talent there. This is one of those cases where the month before the draft, we determined there are like 50 first-round picks. Like all these players are going to go in the first round. Well, there's only 32 first-round picks. They can't all go in the first round. We're seeing that here right now where there's players that maybe had first-round grades by the media that are available on day 2. Certainly makes tomorrow very interesting.
And Draft Fest will be Saturday at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Keep an eye on the weather. It could get a little weird, but it's going to be exciting. There's a lot of things for our season ticket members to enjoy there. I know a lot of families that are coming to this event on Saturday, and we'll announce our newest member of the Chiefs Ring of Honor.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is. And I'm really excited for that person to be announced as the newest member into the Chiefs Ring of Honor. But tonight our excitement is with the Chiefs' first member of the 2024 draft class. And again, the fastest ever 40-yard dash ever recorded in NFL Combine history. And I remember when he did it, it was like all of the notifications came popping up about it.
Yeah.
And now he's a Kansas City Chief. It's just so exciting.
And I just want to emphasize once again, it's not just the straight line speed. Yeah. It's also functional in the NFL. He can make guys miss. He can start and stop with the best of them. That's really hard to do. Some players can be just very fast in a straight line, and he can be fast, but he's more than just that. It's functional. And just can't wait to see how Coach Reid will use him. Assuming he's at Draft Fest, the whole event is so cool because every single year we have the player that's enshrined into the Chiefs Hall of Fame, so it's a nod to the past, but also we have are rookies there and kind of a look toward the future. And to have that event in the middle of the greatest run, certainly for the Chiefs, and really for one of the greatest runs for any team in NFL history. It's right there with the Patriots, I would say. Very cool for a player like Xavier Worthy to be in the middle of all that. Not sure he knows what he's getting into here yet, but it should be a very, very exciting day. Hopefully the weather holds up.
As we wrap, you saw my tweet today. If you're going to be a receiver and get this pick, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, it's like, one, get ready to work. And it appears that this guy is that work habit guy.
I think so, yeah.
It seems like in all the reports that we're getting on him. But two, you've got to learn 3 languages in 4 months, meaning even because of his size doesn't mean he won't line up as an X receiver on the line of scrimmage. You're an X, you're a slot, you're a Z. That's just the way it works in Coach Reid's system. Everybody wants to pigeonhole guys into places. Not in this offense. It just doesn't. It's just not the way it works. And then 3, get ready to work your tail off, which is a repeat of 1. And so get up to speed as fast as you can, buddy. So enjoy it, Brother Worthy. We're going to see you hopefully on Saturday for your birthday. Get a good night's sleep. We'll get ready for tomorrow.
Yep.
But as you and I, Mitch Holthus and Matt McMullen, we get ready for tomorrow, we're going to let you get ready for tomorrow by ending your night with Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach.
super excited today. We were able to make a small move here with Buffalo and move from 32 to 28 and basically move down 38 spots there from our third to their fourth and flop picks there. So obviously Xavier was a guy we were really excited about, and we were kind of just playing the board, and then we had an opportunity to do something there. It was important for us to kind of keep our picks too, so we still had some picks to work with in the next few days. And again, we're excited about adding Xavier to the roster here. And with that, I'll take your questions.
You surprised the Bills answered the phone when you called?
I mean, not. I think everyone goes into the process, you know, with their own list of priorities of what they want to do and what they want to accomplish, and every team, you know, constructs their team a little bit differently. And I think they had a mindset of what they wanted to do, and you know, obviously they've done a great job over the years, and they're a really good organization. So I'm sure it made sense to them. I think they ended up making another move there too. So you know, we were on our own agenda, and you know, we saw value there. And again, moving 38 spots for a guy that, you know, we think will be a great addition to our team, and especially with the special teams values that he adds, I think was something that we really factored in.
Obviously, you really liked him. You gave up your 3. What besides the 4.2 40 do you like about him?
Yeah, just our ability to play vertical and have speed on the field at all times, and having Xavier and Hollywood, I think, will make life easier for Travis and Rasheed. And I think, you know, as the season goes on here, I think we'll have a you know, just an offense that can attack in multiple different ways and always keep defenses guessing.
Randy, obviously, I know how teams defend you recently, but was it still a point of emphasis this offseason to be more successful in downfield passing?
Yeah. Listen, I think it's a quarterback lead, and it's a speed game, and you know, the more speed you have on the field, the harder it is for defenses to take away different elements of the game. And you know, anytime you can add speed and add a guy with that type of versatility, I think, you know, you're going to be interested. And again, we have a couple guys now that I think can keep defenses guessing, and excited about what this will do in the inside game too, with Travis and Rasheed too. So I think we have a good thing going here, and got to get these guys into camp and up and running. But you know, anytime you can add that kind of offensive firepower, and I mean, 4.21 it's pretty legit speed there. And I think another thing too is, you know, when you look at these guys and some of their success in the NFL, we always look at, you know, how they transition into college. And I mean, Xavier was a guy that came in and put up big numbers right away as a freshman at Texas too. So just really smart kid, can run all day, should be able to get up and running pretty fast. And as you guys know, and you guys have seen it, that there's a lot of verbiage and dialogue in this offense, and it's extremely complicated. But I think we felt really good just knowing how smart he is, and you know, he projects to come in here and be able to grasp a lot of these concepts right away.
Brett, what do you feel like you learned about Xavier during the pre-draft process? I believe you guys met with him at the combine.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything our scouts said. Just the kid that loves football, and he's coachable. Super. I mean, he's a smaller, slender guy, but he's super tough. I mean, we all know the value he adds in the special teams game is big for us. But I heard Coach's press conference. You know, he talked to Coach Sark and raved about him, and just how quickly he picks up things, and how competitive he is, and work ethic, all those things that you look for. So you have a dynamic playmaker with top end vertical speed, smart, and you know, you can move him around, do different things with him. So I think it was, from where we started, every step of the way, it just kind of validated the things that we thought all along.
Right. As you get back to the trade, you guys moved up 4 slots. When you were thinking about that and talking it over, which team or teams maybe were you worried about that were on board?
Well, you don't know. I mean, that's the unknown. And, you know, when you get to that point and then you're looking at, I mean, we moved down 38 spots. So we still maintain picks, and, you know, that's important throughout this process. And when you get to that point, you're so close, you know, you always second guess yourself, and you don't know. I mean, it's easy to say maybe he sat there and he would have been there. But, I mean, we saw teams move consistently. Actually, after we picked, I think there was a couple moves. So, I mean, you just don't know. And I think when you have a guy that you have a vision for and that you like, and you have a chance to do something, especially with a pick swap, it just made sense for us. So at the end of the day, I mean, we'll move down 38 spots, and we'll continue to, you know, navigate and work the board. And I think that, you know, one of the strengths of our staff is later in the draft, and so that's why we felt good about it.
Brett, with that position that you had there with wide receiver,
is there any interest in another position if you got a little higher up in the board, you just kind of like where you were and the way the board settled?
Yeah, I think, wide out and tackle and, D-line corner. I mean, those, we kind of had a pretty good gauge that the tackles we like would be on. I mean, we were holding out a little hope there that if one of those guys got in a window, we would have done something. And, the guys that, we were really interested in, they went and didn't really have an opportunity there. And we just kind of let the board play out. And then we saw a good value there to move down a couple spots, 38 spots, and then take Xavier. We just felt like it was the right move and it made sense for us.
Brett, when you think about adding an offensive weapon, I know it's your decision and also coaches. How does it go? Do you ask Patrick, hey, what do you think about this guy? We're thinking about taking this guy in the draft.
Well, we have a unique relationship with Pat, and so he, just by his competitive nature and just his professionalism and just wanting to absorb and know everything. I mean, he'll kind of call every now and then and just check in. And I mean, the thing about Pat, it's like, when you go through the process here, you have some coaches that look for specific things and, they need a specific type of player. Then you have some coaches that you work with that they find the good in everybody. And Pat is kind of like that type of coach where, I mean, he sees the good traits in everyone. So he just talks about kind of the guys he's watching, how he envisions them in our offense. And certainly Xavier is one of those guys and loved him. But he had a lot of positive things to say about a lot of wideouts, but I know Xavier's right at the top of his list, and I'm sure he was at the top of a lot of teams' lists. And I mean, there were some really good wideouts that went early and shortly after there too. I mean, we liked all those guys, but I think for our offense and just clearing up the middle of the field, and then the return thing again was super important for us. So just made a lot of sense for us.
You and the coach have both mentioned his toughness, and he is a slight guy, like you said, like 165. Is that a weight that he's manageable to play with, or at this level, do you feel like he may need to add a little bit of bulk?
Yeah, I think he'll have to obviously continue to grow and get stronger, and he's a young kid, and again, I think when those guys that can go from the high school level, or, right to University of Texas, and I mean, spit out almost 1,000 yards as a freshman. I mean, those guys typically can adapt and adjust quickly, but it's like anyone at any position that once you get to this level, there'll be a continual growth and maturation process. So certainly, we're going to have him with our dietitian and our weight staff, and, we're not going to try to make him 200 pounds, but also, I mean, keep him at that 175, 180 mark, I think will be a healthy weight for him. But it'll all make sense. And, like I said, all these guys are going to have to get bigger and stronger just for the marathon of the season, just to survive a whole, hopefully 20 games.
Sorry,
Yeah.
This is the first time you've drafted a receiver in the first round.
Mhm.
I just wonder, what was the sense in the room of actually accomplishing that and understanding that this was a unique year because there were so many worthy receivers available to maybe be taken in the first round?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just stick to our board and just take guys that we think can come in and play. I mean, we didn't enter today saying we have to have a wideout. I mean, we looked at our roster, and there's a lot of positions that made sense for us, whether it be O-line, corner, can never have enough defensive linemen, receiver. So, it was one of those things where O-linemen went off the board quick, and, we were, looking in that direction. And then once the picks went on and, we had an opportunity to just make a pick flop and secure a guy that we thought can come in and just absorb the playbook right away, help us on special teams. It made sense for us, but I don't think we came into the day saying we have to have a specific position. We just wanted to see if we can get a guy that we thought can come in and help us right away. And I mean, we've obviously had a lot of success, and we're a veteran team, and we need these guys to come in here and play and help us. And so, just the ability that we felt that he could grasp the offense and come in right away, that I think was probably the motivating factor for us to just go ahead and make sure we got him before we got hot by potentially somebody else.
Well, like you mentioned, 4-2-1 really pops off. Just what did you think before that day, and does that prompt you to go back and rewatch the film? Does it confirm what you already had seen? Just how did that?
Well, I think everyone knew he was fast, and when we ran the time, I think we kind of thought, well, we're picking last in the draft, might have a shot at him. And I think when he ran the 4.21, there's a lot of speculation that when you run a time like that, sometimes those guys go even higher. And but certainly saw the speed on tape. I mean, that was one thing that was evident from the first time you put him in all throughout his career and playing at Texas. So sometimes those guys run those times and you have to go back and to look for it to see it because it's there, but only in spurts. But I mean, with Xavier, it wasn't a guy that, that didn't, probably everyone thought he was a 4-3 guy. So the 4-2-1 is something that is unique and special and only made him more attractive.
Pete, you mentioned the communication with Patrick. What was his reaction to actually securing the player? You mentioned that he was on top of the list.
I think it was at a gala night in New York. He called me and said, "Hey, good luck. I'll be in this gala at New York, but I got my phone on." So he was, I think it was pretty quiet most of the night. I think right around pick 2021, he said, "Hey, how's it looking? What are we thinking?" And a few, 30, 45 minutes later, I think when we actually confirmed the trade with the league before we turned it in, I shot him a text. I said, "I think we're going to be on the clock here soon," and told him the pick. So he was, the thumbs up emoji and was excited. And I'm sure they already touched base and talked already. So, he was a guy that obviously, being from Texas, Pat, knew all about, but he knows a lot about a lot of players. But, he was certainly excited.
PJ? First wide receiver in the first round, first offensive player in the first round in a few years now. Just moving ahead, is it kind of more centered towards shoring up that tackle position or kind of looking back towards defense?
Well, I mean, listen, we'll just let the board play out. And like I said, I mean, we're going to need, good players at a bunch of positions here. And, we're always, I think, aware of, the values of the O-line and the D-line needs. So, certainly as we go on, hopefully the value and the need match. And that's what you always hope for when you get into these drafts and the offseason, when they play out, you just hope that the kind of the need and the value match. But at the same time, again, there's other positions that we have to get better at and other positions that we need to just continue to bring in competition. So, any chance we have a player that we think can come in and play right away and help us, I think we'll defer to that. But, I mean, again, I think we're always looking at O-line, D-line.
We'll go two more. We'll go Todd and then Jesse. Go ahead, Todd.
Was this the first time you guys tried to move up tonight, or had you tried to move up a little earlier?
Yeah, we had. I mean, listen, we had some dialogue for sure, but how the value and the charts work. I mean, our picks are, even our second, third round picks. I mean, they're not very attractive to teams, and they now that once you get into day 2 and day 3, it's a little bit easier to navigate. Day 1, it's hard, and you got to pay a premium and. The picks that you do have, they don't get you up very far. So we certainly made some calls. I think we started right around 21, 22, and, there just wasn't a high desire for, other teams' 2s and 3s are a lot more valuable than our 2s and 3s, and so it just doesn't do much for you. And then we didn't want to get into a situation where we were just packaging a bunch of picks. We wanted to just stay flexible throughout the, course of the weekend and continue to add players and add depth to this roster. So we got, made some, calls early on, and a couple teams just were not interested at all, and then a couple teams, the price was just way too high, and we just waited. And then we had a little window there, and Xavier was still on the board. Start making some calls later then, like 29, 30. Yeah. Buffalo was at 28, so 27, 28. We started making calls right around then, 26 maybe. But we certainly had calls earlier. Just never came close to getting anything done there.
Jesse?
Yeah, Brett, you said you had a vision for him. I just wondered what the long-term vision is for Xavier.
Well, I mean, look, he's a guy that I think we can do a lot for us, and, we're super excited about Hollywood, and, if there's a chance Hollywood can come in here and produce, we'd love to extend him, but the reality of it is he's only on a 1-year deal, too, so the receiver market is going through the roof, and the guy in Detroit just got done, so, I mean, whether it be tackle or D-line or receiver, I mean, these are expensive positions, and there's a premium on this league in speed and playmaking ability, and he has that. So I think the vision for him is, we have him for 5 years now, and that's a big deal for us. And as we try to keep this thing together and add pieces, those playmakers are hard to come by, and they're expensive in the offseason. So, again, for this year, having him in Hollywood and Travis and Rasheed, I think it's going to be really exciting. But we also know that, there's the additional factor that you have Rasheed under contract for, Xavier under contract for 5 years, and so that's a big motivating factor, just the length of these contracts.
Okay, thanks, Veach.
Yep, awesome. Thank you, guys.
If you guys want to hop on the Zoom, we'll get you guys Xavier.